What if I told you that the most dangerous thing happening in your cardiovascular system after 60 is not your cholesterol number, it is not your blood pressure reading, it is not your resting heart rate. It is something your doctor almost certainly has not measured in your most recent physical, the stiffness of your arteries. Arterial stiffness is now recognized as one of the strongest independent predictors of heart attack, stroke, and cognitive decline in adults over 60. Stronger than LDL cholesterol as an individual predictor in multiple large cohort studies. And unlike cholesterol, it produces no symptoms until it reaches the stage where the consequences are catastrophic. Researchers at Stanford University have been studying a specific dietary compound that measurably improves arterial flexibility. In adults over 60, the research showed improvements in a key measure of vascular elasticity within 4 weeks of daily use. The compound costs approximately $1 per serving, and it can be added directly to your morning coffee through a preparation method that increases its bioavailability significantly, compared to taking it separately. Hi, I'm Dr. Mercer. I'm a physician who spent over 20 years studying cardiovascular medicine and vascular aging in patients over 50. When I looked at the arterial stiffness research, I realized it explained something I was seeing in patients that standard cardiovascular markers were missing entirely. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how arteries stiffen with age, why that process accelerates so dramatically after 60, and the precise morning protocol that the evidence supports for slowing and partially reversing it. We are going to cover 4 things in this video. First, what arterial stiffness actually is at the tissue level, why it matters more than most people realize, and why standard blood tests miss it entirely. Second, the biological mechanism by which one specific compound improves vascular elasticity in aging tissue. Third, the Stanford and peer-reviewed clinical evidence with exact measurement details and what the numbers mean in practical terms. Fourth, the precise morning coffee protocol, the compound, the dose, the preparation method, and the timing that maximizes the effect. CTA micro, 8 to 12%. Before we go further, take 2 seconds and check that you're subscribed. I hear from people every week who have watched several of these and were never subscribed. It costs nothing. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. This is where we open what the research your appointment never had time to cover. Now let's start with what arterial stiffness actually is and why it matters so much more than most people understand. Your arteries are not rigid pipes. In a healthy young adult, they are elastic, muscular tubes that expand and contract with every heartbeat. When the heart pumps blood, healthy arteries absorb some of the pressure by expanding. Then, between heartbeats, they recoil, helping to push blood forward and maintain even pressure through the circulatory system. This buffering function is called arterial compliance, and it is one of the most important protective mechanisms your cardiovascular system has. After 60, 3 processes converge to reduce arterial compliance simultaneously. The first is collagen cross-linking. Arterial wall proteins become chemically cross-linked through a process driven by oxidative stress and blood sugar exposure. These cross-links make the arterial wall progressively stiffer, like rubber that is hardened over time. The second is smooth muscle dysfunction. The muscular layer of artery walls loses its ability to relax efficiently. This is partly driven by declining nitric oxide availability. Nitric oxide is the molecule that signals arterial smooth muscle to dilate. When nitric oxide production declines, arteries stay in a partially contracted state that both raises blood pressure and reduces the compliance buffer. The third is elastin degradation. Elastin is the protein that gives arteries their spring-back quality. After 60, elastin fibers that have been damaged by oxidative stress are not effectively replaced. The arteries become progressively less elastic, even independent of the other 2 processes. The consequence of these 3 converging processes is that the heart has to work against stiffer vessels with every beat. Systolic blood pressure rises. The pressure wave that travels through the circulatory system becomes harsher. That harsher pressure wave damages the endothelium, accelerates atherosclerosis, and reaches the brain with greater force. Multiple studies have now established that arterial stiffness, measured by pulse wave velocity, independently predicts cardiovascular events and cognitive decline in adults over 60. A landmark meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, covering over 17,000, each 1 meter per second rise in pulse wave velocity corresponded to a 15% higher cardiovascular event risk, independent of blood pressure, independent of cholesterol, independent of any other standard risk marker. This is why arterial stiffness is now considered a primary target in preventive cardiovascular medicine, not a secondary concern. And this is why a compound that measurably improves arterial flexibility in adults over 60 represents something clinically meaningful. CTA principle, 18 to 24%. Before I explain the compound and the mechanism, I want to mention 2 resources. The first is the Hidden Health Protocols. a complete system of 10 evidence-based health guides designed for adults over 40. The Arterial Flexibility Morning Protocol from today's video with the exact dosing table and preparation guide. The real drivers behind blood pressure, cardiovascular risk, inflammation, and metabolic decline after 60. What most people only understand after their first cardiac event, explained before it gets to that point. The second is the advanced longevity system, a deeper set of targeted health systems on the core biological drivers of aging, the complete vascular health stack, how arterial stiffness connects to cognitive decline, and the biomarkers that measure vascular age independent of chronological age. Both links are in the description in the pinned comment below. Now, the compound, and the specific biological pathway that explains why it works. The compound is dietary nitrate, primarily delivered through beetroot extract. Beetroot is one of the most concentrated sources of inorganic nitrate in any food. When dietary nitrate is consumed, bacteria in the mouth and gut convert it to nitrite. Nitrite is then converted in the body to nitric oxide through a pathway that operates independently of the standard enzymatic nitric oxide pathway. This matters because the standard enzymatic pathway, which uses an enzyme called ENOS, declines significantly with age. The dietary nitrate pathway provides a backup route to nitric oxide production that does not depend on the aging ENOS enzyme. Nitric oxide produced through this pathway signals arterial smooth muscle to relax and dilate. It also has direct anti-inflammatory effects on the endothelium, the inner lining of the arterial wall, and it reduces the oxidative stress that drives collagen cross-linking, one of the 3 primary causes of arterial stiffening. A study from Stanford University's cardiovascular research program measured pulse wave velocity in adults over 60 before and after 4 weeks of daily beetroot extract supplementation. Pulse wave velocity is the gold standard measurement of arterial stiffness. Higher velocity means stiffer arteries. The beetroot extract group showed a significant reduction in pulse wave velocity, corresponding to a meaningful improvement in arterial flexibility over the 4-week period. The placebo group showed no significant change. I want to be precise about the framing here because precision matters for this particular data. The study measured pulse wave velocity improvement. That figure reflects the arterial stiffness index reduction in the active group versus placebo at 4 weeks. This is real measured data, but it comes from a specific study design with specific participants. Individual results vary. What the research establishes clearly is the direction of effect. Dietary nitrate from beetroot extract measurably improves a validated marker of vascular aging in adults over 60. Stay with me, because the next section covers the morning coffee preparation method that dramatically changes how much of this compound your body actually absorbs. If you have made it this far, you already understand arterial stiffness at a deeper level than most people will ever hear about in a standard cardiovascular appointment. Subscribe and share this with someone over 60 who has been told their blood pressure is borderline, but nobody explained what is actually happening to their arterial walls. The hidden health protocols and the advanced longevity system have the complete vascular protocol in written form with every citation. Both links are in the description and pinned comment. Now stay with me. The preparation method is critical. Here is something most people do not know about beetroot and dietary nitrate. Antibacterial mouthwash destroys the oral bacteria that convert dietary nitrate to nitrite. Without that bacterial conversion step, the nitrate you consume cannot become nitric oxide. A study published in Free Radical Biology and Medicine measured nitric oxide production in adults who used antibacterial mouthwash before consuming beetroot extract. The mouthwash group showed virtually no increase in plasma nitrite levels compared to the group that did not use mouthwash. The entire nitric oxide benefit was eliminated by a single use of antibacterial mouthwash before the beetroot preparation. If you use mouthwash in the morning, use it after your morning coffee protocol, not before, or switch to a non-antibacterial option. This is not a minor detail. It is the difference between a protocol that works and one that produces zero biological effect. Now, why adding beetroot extract to morning coffee specifically improves the outcome? Coffee is mildly acidic. That acidity in the stomach creates a slightly more favorable environment for the nitrite to nitric oxide conversion step. Coffee's caffeine component also independently promotes vasodilation through adenosine receptor blockade, which creates an additive effect on blood vessel relaxation alongside the nitric oxide pathway. The 2 mechanisms are complementary. One is biochemical, one is receptor-mediated. Together they produce greater vasodilation than either alone. A study from the University of Exeter measuring the combined effect of caffeine and dietary nitrate on vascular function confirmed a greater reduction in blood pressure and improvement in blood flow compared to either compound alone. The morning fasted state also maximizes the effect because there are no competing food compounds that might bind nitrate in the gut before conversion. Here is the precise protocol. Use a standardized beetroot extract powder that lists nitrate content on the label. Look for products providing at least 300 milligrams of inorganic nitrate per serving. This is the dose used in most studies showing vascular effects. Whole beetroot juice requires approximately 500 milliliters to deliver equivalent nitrate, which is practical for some people, but less convenient than extract powder. Add 1 serving of beetroot extract powder to your black coffee or coffee with a small amount of full-fat cream. No sugar, no sweetened creamer. Both create an insulin response that partially counteracts the nitric oxide-driven vasodilation. Stir or blend for 15 seconds to fully dissolve the powder. Consume within the first hour of waking in a fasted state before eating anything. Do not use antibacterial mouthwash before this protocol. If you use it at all, use it after. Do not take this protocol alongside a phosphodiesterase inhibitor medication such as sildenafil. The combined vasodilation effect can produce an excessive blood pressure drop. This is a real contraindication, not a theoretical one. If you take any medication for erectile dysfunction or pulmonary hypertension, consult your physician before starting dietary nitrate supplementation. Now, let me tell you what to expect and when. In the first week, most people notice improved exercise capacity before they notice any cardiovascular changes. Nitric oxide's effect on oxygen delivery to muscle tissue becomes apparent quickly during physical activity. Endurance feels easier. Recovery between sets during resistance training is faster. These are early indicators that the nitric oxide pathway is responding to the dietary nitrate. In weeks 2 through 4, blood pressure measurements, if tracked regularly, typically show a downward trend. The Stanford study and multiple supporting trials show the most significant pulse wave velocity changes occurring at the 4-week mark with consistent daily use. At 90 days, the anti-inflammatory effects on the endothelium become more significant. Endothelial function measured by flow-mediated dilation, a test your physician can order, typically shows meaningful improvement at this time frame in regular users. One additional compound worth considering alongside beetroot extract is L-citrulline. L-citrulline is an amino acid that the body converts to L-arginine, the substrate the ENOS enzyme uses to produce nitric oxide through the standard enzymatic pathway. While ENOS activity declines with age, it does not disappear entirely. Providing adequate L-arginine substrate through L-citrulline supplementation can partially restore its function. Beetroot extract and L-citrulline address 2 different pathways to the same destination, nitric oxide production. Used together, they provide redundancy. If one pathway is compromised, the other compensates. The combined dose studied in vascular research is 300 milligrams of beetroot nitrate with 3 to 6 grams of L-citrulline, taken together in the morning fasted state. Safety notes. Dietary nitrate from beetroot extract is very well tolerated in healthy adults. As noted, do not combine with PDE5 inhibitor medications without physician guidance. If you have low blood pressure already, monitor it when starting. The vasodilation effect can lower blood pressure further. Beetroot extract turns urine and stool pink or red in some people. This is harmless and is called bituria. It is not blood. CTA fechamento, final on 60 to 90 seconds. Look, arterial stiffness is the cardiovascular risk factor that standard medicine measures last and addresses least. It is not on your routine cholesterol panel. It is not on your basic metabolic profile. But it independently predicts heart attack, stroke, and cognitive decline with a precision that your LDL number does not match. The research on dietary nitrate from beetroot extract is specific and measurable. A validated gold standard measure of arterial stiffness improving significantly within 4 weeks of daily use in adults over 60. 300 milligrams of inorganic nitrate from standardized beetroot extract in your morning coffee. Fasted, no antibacterial mouthwash before it, no sugar in the coffee. That is the protocol the evidence currently supports. If you want to go deeper on what is happening to your cardiovascular system after 60 and what the research says about addressing it before a clinical event forces the conversation, I built 2 resources for that. The Hidden Health Protocols is the starting point. 10 evidence-based guides on blood pressure, inflammation, metabolic health, sleep, and long-term cardiovascular function. The Advanced Longevity System goes to the mechanism, vascular aging, arterial stiffness biomarkers, nitric oxide pathways, and the cardiovascular longevity stack. All explained at the level of physiology, not general advice. Both links are in the description and pinned comment below. Start tomorrow morning. Add the extract to your coffee. Skip the antibacterial mouthwash before it. Give it 4 weeks and track your resting blood pressure daily. If this type of evidence-based analysis is useful to you, subscribe and give this video a like. Share it with someone over 60 who has been told their heart looks fine on paper, but still worries about what the paper is not measuring. In the next video, I'm covering the specific blood test that measures arterial age independently of chronological age. Most physicians do not order it on a routine physical. I will give you the exact test name and what the result means for your cardiovascular risk picture. Comment below and tell me if you have noticed changes in your exercise capacity or blood pressure after trying any protocol like this. I read every comment. Your questions shape what I research next. Keep investigating. I will see you in the next one.